Have you also seen the Jason Bateman movie Game Night?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? Aw.
I'm okay. How are you two?
I think we're doing okay.
Are we already recording?
We are now. We are now.
Welcome to A Little Too Quiet, the Ferndale Library podcast, brought to you by the Friends of the Ferndale Library. I'm Michelle, and today I'm here with Jeff.
Hey, everybody. And this is another installment in our fun, cool Library People series, where we're going all over the state, talking to a variety of different people who work in libraries in a variety of different roles and departments. And we get to hear from them. We get to hear about their library and what they do. And hopefully they'll teach you a little bit more about how libraries work. And maybe even make you laugh. We'll see. Today I am joined by a special co-host, Michelle. Hey, how are you?
I am great, Jeff. How are you?
Thanks for being here on... These are evergreen episodes, but it's a real cloudy, rainy fall day out there. Holy cow. We are talking to someone really exciting. If I didn't say it already, it's Elissa Zimmer, who works at the Van Buren District Library as the assistant director. She's an old friend of ours.
Yep, former youth librarian rock star here at Ferndale.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, I think you and I are old school vets here at the Ferndale Library. I think we've been here a while, both of us. And I think that we were working with Elissa for nigh on 6 years, maybe together, maybe 5 solid years.
Yeah, I want to say it was pre-pandemic, so
yeah.
the time starts to blur.
Maybe it was 5 years or 4. I don't know. It's just all blurs together. Elissa has gone to the west side of the state. I think this is this series is going to keep going. Hopefully we'll get up to the UP one day as far as who we talk to from libraries. But this is the furthest distance we're going, out west near Kalamazoo. You're going to hear today from an assistant director, which we haven't done on this library before, which is a lot different than being a librarian. Well, here it is. Here's our chat with Elissa Zimmer from the Van Buren District Library. Welcome to the podcast, Elissa Zimmer from the Van Buren District Library. How are you?
Yay!
I'm pretty good.
I don't think Michelle and I can put on airs of being like professional podcast hosts because we know Elissa so much. This is just too familiar. It's too casual. This is such a catch up. It's so good to see you.
Yeah.
Well, I just had the privilege of seeing Jeff, but Michelle, I so rarely get to see you. So it's a joy to see you sitting there with your poise as per usual.
Yeah. So how is it going over there? Like today, and also like answer in this order, like today, this week, how's it going? But then also tell us how your year's been, because oh my God, it's almost the end of the year.
Today is actually going pretty well. We had a really nice long managers meeting and covered a lot of different bases. And so that was really cool.
Assistant director.
It's me.
Assistant director of the Van Buren District Library. How recent was that?
May of this year.
Congrats belatedly.
Oh,
amazing.
I love that.
Yeah, we passed a millage this year. So I guess this kind of transitions into the second part of your question.
Congrats again.
We passed a millage increase in May, and that was really, really cool. We had campaigned quite a bit, and by we, I mean our director went out to a bunch of municipal meetings. Our PR person, Laura Puckett, put out a bunch of stuff online, information-wise, and fun social media things. And so the people voted, and here we are.
Oh,
yay.
That's so encouraging to see a community support their library.
Yeah, we were able to give raises across the board, most notably to our clerks, because most of our staff are clerks and they were not making a lot of money. And so up a little bit more of a competitive wage. So that was really great.
Wonderful. Let me ask an annoying question. I think it's a question I probably already asked you 2 or 3 times. Van Buren, do a Michigan mitten situation. You guys are sort of over by Kalamazoo.
Yes.
Okay.
So I describe it as the county west of Kalamazoo, and we butt up against Lake Michigan. So we do have a branch. Our Covert branch is just south of South Haven and home to Van Buren State Park. So lesser known beach access, really great nature around here, lots of farmland, cool stuff.
Wonderful. Aw. So we do have some questions for you, and this is questions we like to ask everyone on this little series that we've been doing called Cool Library People. And it's to help listeners who may or may not be themselves holding outdated misconceptions about libraries. Is there one that has always bugged you? Is there one that you always like to dispel yourself?
Yeah, it's always the misconception that you have to be quiet in the library.
Yes.
It's kind of amazing that people still hold that. And it's so fun to be able to be the person to say, no, like, young child, like, you can talk in a normal voice and be excited to be here. And, you know, grown-ups having an important conversation, trying to print important paperwork, like, yeah, have your conversation, do what you need to do. It's interesting. This branch I'm here at our main branch in Webster Memorial in Decatur, was at the tail end of its renovation when I started. And so here, and also hearkening back to my very first public library job, which was the Mallett's Creek branch of Ann Arbor District Library, both just like big open spaces with like lots of like little kind of carved out spaces, but it's still a big room. So like noise carries, but I've always appreciated Ann Arbor's way of putting it. It's something like the noise level will like kind of ebb and flow according to what's happening at the library. So like if story time just got out, like, yeah, there's going to be kids running around.
Right.
And that's normal.
Yeah. I mean, part and parcel to the whole you have to be quiet thing is the worry that if you are yourself not quiet, you will be in trouble and the librarian will shush you.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
We're often the loudest people in the library, I think, actually, staff. We've been shushed before, which was kind of funny, and sorry about that. But to me, it's just signs of life.
Yeah.
Signs of activity in the library and library joy, which we love to see.
Yeah.
I have memories. So I don't know if the listeners will remember me, but I did work at Ferndale Area District Library. And I have memories of laughing so much with a coworker that my supervisor shut the door to the youth office. So,
yes. Always a lot of laughter coming from the youth department when Elissa was here, and that hasn't changed. But what has changed is there's now just laughter everywhere. It's just all over the place. So
yeah.
So we're
Alyssa, you've been here, you've been at Mallett's Creek, you're now at Van Buren. Take us back to what initially made you decide you want to be a librarian.
I fell into it, I guess. My friend, shout out another Michelle, got me a job at Interlibrary Loan when I was an undergrad at U of M. And from there, I just really liked it. I had a really fun job where I got to deliver and pick up items from all of the various libraries on campus. So I went to the business library, the law library, fine arts, and even museums. And so like kind of picked up the different vibes of all those different places. And my mom reflected back to me that I was very happy. So I was like, oh, okay, like, let's take a year off and do this. And so I got the job at Ann Arbor while I was still working at U of M and just really liked it.
Mm.
What were you studying in undergrad when you started working in libraries?
Oh, I'm so boring. English and creative writing.
Yeah. Translates well, though, into the library world.
What about when you got deeper into library world? Did you have yourself what I like to refer to as a library epiphany? Now, we were talking about listeners having misconceptions about libraries. Maybe we ourselves even held some, or we just thought, or maybe library school gave you an idea and you had your mind expanded once you really got out on the floor and into the action, or saw something probably, hopefully magical, I don't know, or distressing. What's the library epiphany for you?
Yeah, I don't know that library school really prepares you at all for like what public service actually looks like. And honestly, like you use the word epiphany, I don't really know that I've had an epiphany. I feel like my passion for libraries is always growing and expanding and honestly sometimes shrinking depending on the day, but it's like this nebulous thing that doesn't take up any sort of concrete amount of space like all of the time. And especially since I've moved into more management roles, like they definitely don't prepare you for like toilet issues, which, you know, you feel like you really need to take one for the team and address. I've had my worst public toilet experience ever in my life in the last year.
I'm going to put a content warning in the introduction.
I mean, I could go into graphic detail, but I will not.
So you want to work in a library.
It was really, really bad. But yeah, honestly, like, it sounds so cheesy and it might be cliche, but I can't picture myself doing anything else. Like, there's just something so special about having public funding set aside to do what we do and to connect with people. And hearkening back to your first question, how am I doing today? Today is one of those days where things just kind of like fall into place. And after our manager's meeting, I walked to Subway to get a sandwich. And someone who I sit on the DDA with was in looking at our display case. Then I saw him outside after I got my sandwich, and he asked about putting something in the display. And so it's just really nice to be able to walk down the street and like see people and have them excited about doing stuff here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know you've worked here, Ferndale, which is a, pretty urban library. You've worked in Ann Arbor, which is also pretty urban. Tell us about the community you're in now. Yeah. How is it the same? How is it different?
Give us more Subway stories.
And like, how many branches do you have? Is it like a bigger system?
And do you have like a gazebo and a town center and all that stuff?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I used to work in a library also in Metro Detroit that had a garden, and the original part of the building was like from the 1860s or something. And that was just really special. Van Buren District Library is a Class 5 system, so we have a service area, I want to say, of about 45,000 people. We have 7 branches spread out throughout the county, so it differs from Metro Detroit, and that it's obviously not this really densely packed area. And we are part of a library cooperative, but we don't have the same like interlibrary delivery system that the co-ops over on the east side do. Because we span the county, we have a really, really busy branch that's basically Madawan, that's a bedroom community for Kalamazoo. We've got our Gobles branch is like the size of an apartment. It's like just under 1,200 square feet. Yeah, so there's like growth in certain parts of the county. There's differences in each of our service locations, but overall it's largely rural. And so I have gotten maybe a little bit of a crash course in some rural things. So like, certain points of the year, it's going to smell like manure outside. And, but it's led to some really fruitful partnerships. Like the conservation district in the county is really active and has grown so much in the last 3 years. So like we offer battery recycling through them. Lots of natural resources, like love that.
And you started as a program coordinator there, is that right? What does programming look like in a community like that?
It's been really interesting. So like the branches still have autonomy to plan their own programming, and I just kind of oversee it. So like in that role, like I coordinate training for like story time or like district-wide programs. So like I have worked with our branches to do programming themes. Like we started doing Dino-vember a few years ago, so everybody did dinosaur-related programs. And then as an example, we did year-long thematic programming, so like around the world with VBDL. So each of our branches got to pick different countries. And I'm going to shout out our Gobles branch manager, Barb, who, because Gobles is our smallest branch, she chose the absolute smallest countries in the world, like some we had never even heard of. So that was really fun. And then next year we're doing rediscovering lost skills. So fitting in with our rural environment. So like homesteading, keeping backyard animals, growing and preserving food, like all that kind of stuff. And so I'm coordinating a fiber arts like festival day at our conference center in February. So the goal is going to be having like knitting, crocheting, wet felting, all sorts of stuff. So that's what I get to do. And then just like if any snafus happen at the branches, like sometimes I help kind of think through problems as they arise.
Okay, awesome. Barely related. I just started crocheting, so
stop. That's so fun.
Telling everyone that. So that Fiber Arts Festival sounds awesome. So
Fiber Arts rule.
Yeah. So you've been in this position for 8 months.
As director or assistant director.
Yeah. We do like to ask what you find fulfilling about your current role at the library. I feel like you've been in there long enough to kind of get your feet wet, get your sea legs or whatever. What gets you excited? What's the most fulfilling aspect about it besides the toilets?
I think for me, it's really great to basically set up staff for success. And honestly, I say that like they have set themselves up, but like helping things be even that much better or connecting people with like further education or other resources that might be helpful. It's just really fun to be the person to even sometimes just like watch the desk so someone else can do a really great program. I guess, yeah, like letting myself be there for staff in a really real way. And I had a staff member yesterday in a one-on-one tell me about like how I was a really like empathetic leader and always know like what she's going to get with me and stuff. And like, I almost got teary when she told me. It was just very, very nice to be seen for the hard work that I do.
Sure. Wow. What does that feel like to have been recently a player, but now a coach? Like you're sitting on the desk, but like Elissa herself could go over there and do that program, but now you just gotta like sit there and that must kind of feel good, I guess. But like, I don't know. Do you miss some of it? I don't know. Do you miss some of that librarian life?
I do sometimes. Yeah. Like I did a program over the summer and I was like, oh yeah, like my brain is not in that headspace anymore. Yeah. But I do shout out back to my Ferndale roots doing Uprooted. At our Madeline branch, I frequently, when there's a new staff member who will take over our music and movement program, I will come model it for them. And honestly, like that is like the best joy. Like being able to dance and be so excited to like see people and welcome them into the space. Like I love that.
Yeah.
I love what you've been doing too with having like the bigger picture themes throughout the whole system too. I know as a programmer, sometimes it can feel a little too open, just kind of like, I mean, it's great to have the freedom to be able to do whatever you think your community will respond to, but it can be a little overwhelming sometimes, and to have more of a focus, I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
Were they already doing that, or is that something that you came in with?
Dye November was suggested by a staff member to do at one branch, and I was like, that's too cool. We should do that district wide. And that's how that kind of got born. And I also believe in doing a lot of things by committee. So like my boss has likened my role in terms of program coordination as being a producer. So doing a lot of things by committee, it's really helpful to get the buy-in across the district. So when we were first discussing what we wanted to do in 2025, and I was thinking about, I don't know, maybe it was like auto history, because we have the Gilmore Car Museum over on this side of the state. And like a couple of branch managers were like, our people will not come to that. And I was like, okay, great. Like, we're not going to waste our time. Like, what do we feel excited about? Like, what can we kind of decide on together? And then I will take it from there in terms of like planning and putting those bigger pieces together. So I will say it's always a team effort. And yeah, it's nice to get that buy-in and have everybody on board. I feel like I'm in a job interview right now and that I'm just like talking so much.
But we're really excited to hear about, we know about you at Ferndale. It's awesome to hear about your upward mobility, the cool things you're doing, outside the library.
Yeah. Also, Elissa, you were here when this podcast started, and I had you on as a guest before, and I have interviewed you like it's just have you not done this in a while? I've done this with okay. You've had this interview energy before, so it's good to have you back on the podcast.
To be on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Also, the last time I was on this podcast, it was when I was really, really heavily reading in 2020, I want to say, and I had read like 190 books or something. And my Goodreads right now, like my goal is 130 for the year. And it keeps telling me I'm like 29 behind schedule. And I'm like, yep, that's my life now.
That's still a lot of books, though.
Yeah.
I am on pace to read 50.
Yeah, same.
Which is a record for me. I'm usually 30. So, we're getting there.
Yeah. I do remember that I'm Goodreads friends with you, and you would just you were definitely a person who was heavily featured in my feed. But it's great because you have interesting taste. So I'm always curious. I love the voyeurism of Goodreads. Like, what's Alyssa reading?
I love that.
Wait, Alyssa, what's the last book you just finished?
Oh God, of course you would ask me that. This is so bad. Like once you start working in libraries, you don't remember at all what you read, or at least I haven't. I'll just tell you what I'm listening to right now. So I'm listening to this book called Grown Women by Sarah Johnson. I could be wrong. And it's Sarai, which I thought was really interesting spelling. And it's about this family of women, and it has a great grandmother down to great granddaughter, and some of them live very close to poverty. Some of them are very wealthy. They stopped talking to each other, then started talking to each other. It's really it's a fun listen. I'm listening to that one.
You got the author completely right, first and last name, so you're good.
Yay, go me.
Yeah. Well, we have one more question. It's a fun one.
Yeah. So what is something cool or amazing that your library circulates, even if it's something for just your card holders?
I will tell you something that is in the works. So we received a donation from our Great Start Collaborative, who bought a bunch of educational toys, and I'm talking tubs and tubs of them, right before the pandemic hit. And so these lived in tubs for literal years. And then their coordinator reached out to me and was like, hey, do you want these? So I got first dibs to look through them and got them. And so hopefully in early 2025, we will be circulating educational toys, which I'm excited about. We were joking at our manager meeting, calling it the library of some things.
Love it.
Do you all have a library of things, or is circulating non-book? This is a new thing for you guys.
We circulated some glue guns last summer.
But it didn't stick?
Because we did craft kits, but I don't really know that they were super popular. And we do hot spots. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. Gosh. So Alyssa, I'm just curious, what's the rest of your day and week look like? What's the rest of your year look like?
I wish I could say that it would calm down, but I don't. As soon as you finish one thing, you're on to the next thing. So we'll start thinking summer reading probably pretty soon.
Okay. Oh,
one more
go ahead.
meeting today, and then some desk time, and then I'm out. But it's kind of been bam, bam, bam.
I'm going to put you on the spot, even though you didn't have time to think of this answer. Anyone who's about to get into library school, after they've just been in libraries for 1 or 2 years, do you have any advice for them?
I think always coming back to relationships. And I think that we value, but simultaneously underestimate the soft skills of building relationships, and how having little, in quotation marks, conversations with people and getting to know them can actually bring about established connections down the road. An example of that is attending some countywide meetings and getting to know folks who work at our local health department. And I've gotten a couple of emails from someone who I built a relationship at the health department being like, hey, here's someone else who you should know, because you could do this programming with them. So yeah, being able to talk to people in a real way, real balance, real and professional, I think is really helpful.
Yeah. Connections. We love it.
Yep.
Being a producer. What a delight. Alyssa, come back on the podcast sometime.
Okay, I will.
And also come back to Ferndale sometime.
Please.
What?
Could we do like a Ferndale reunion podcast? Because then Darlene could be on it too.
Sure, of course.
That would be so fun.
Of course.
Yeah, you're welcome to all the
whoever
libraries
else-
that have amazing assistant directors now. You're welcome from Ferndale.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, stay tuned for that. Elissa, it's been a pleasure. Take care.
Thank
We'll
you
talk
so
soon.
much for having me. Great to see you too.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
And that was Elissa Zimmer, the assistant director from the Van Buren District Library. What a delight, an old friend of ours. I'm going to repeat the fact that she talked about, what did she talk about? Glue guns? Glue sticks? Glue?
Yeah, that's a choice for the first non-book item to circulate.
Right. I'll just go ahead and repeat my joke that it didn't stick because she didn't hear me. So now everyone listening at home has to hear me twice. Yeah, it's such a thing to get into being a director at a library. There's just so many different departments and they all run uniquely. And there's so many moving parts and there's just so much more going on than coming up to the desk and talking to Michelle or anyone and asking for a book.
Yeah, libraries in general, it's like, I think especially ones like that, you think, oh, the bathroom, that's not something
Right.
an administrator would have to deal with. But we don't all have, that staff where if we do, they might not be coming in for 12 hours.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was just talking to someone out at a show that I was at, and they were like, yeah, so it must be really chill in a library. And I'm like, sometimes it really isn't because, I don't know. So I was just thinking, like, sometimes if you're, sometimes the librarian has to be like a lifeguard and a bus driver all at once. Like,
Yeah.
there are like, at any one moment, there are like 30 people from all walks of life representing the public under your roof or in your pool or whatever. And you're kind of looking out for them.
Yeah, they're all in very different moods.
You're
and
helping
have
them.
very different needs.
You're helping them, but you're also kind of like checking on them.
Yeah.
And who knows what could happen. It's like anything could happen. And they're not all there to like ask you for the latest James Patterson. Like they're coming there for a variety of different needs from a variety of different walks of life. So anything can happen in a library. Wait, where were we going with this? How good to see Elissa, huh?
How great to see Alyssa.
I guess she's been over there for about 3 years now.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I have, I'm not surprised at all to see that she has moved up quickly in the world. I mean, she was one of those people that was here and you were like, this lady's going places. So
Yeah.
it's really great to see.
We didn't even
where
have
she's
time
at.
to get into this, and I hope I'm not revealing anything, but she also has gotten into the world of improv comedy. She's she's on an improv comedy team, and she almost came back here because she was going to do something at Go Comedy. Wait, Elissa, come back here and do something in one of our comedy theaters. That'd be great.
That'd be lovely.
We'd love to see you. All right, folks at home, you've listened to another episode of A Little Too Quiet. It's the Ferndale Library Podcast, and it's brought to you by the Friends of the Ferndale Library. I've been joined by co-host Michelle. Thanks for
Hi.
joining me.
Oh, of course, anytime.
What a delight. Also, shout out to local musician John Duffy, who gives us intro and outro music. And shout out to the Friends of the Ferndale Library who made this podcast a reality. If you want to find out more information about them or supporting this podcast, go to ferndalefriends.org. All right. Oh, yeah. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and go to your library and renew your library card. And that's about it for now. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.